Welcome to Real Talk About the Town, a community forum organized by the Brotherhood of Elders Network. My name is Rodney Brooks, and I'm with the Politics Committee of the Brotherhood. Shortly, we'll be hearing from the two candidates in this race, Sasha Ritzi Hernandez and Jorge Lerma. They will be answering the questions which are most important to our families, our youth, and our communities. Thank you for participating in the forum.
Question 1. This school board is still relatively new, and in many circumstances their votes have been divided. How do you plan to build consensus on the board?
Yes, I have strong relationships with 3 particular board members who have supported my campaign, which is Valerie Batchelor, Jennifer Brohart, and also Van Cedric Williams. But one of the things that I did when I first started my campaign was to actually meet with every single one of them, except for Cliff Thompson, which it has been really hard to get a hold of him. But overall, one of the things that I wanted to do was make sure that every board member knew that I was running for this office and that I was interested in the seat. So I had a conversation with Sam Davis in the beginning of my campaign, as well as Mike Hutchinson, and I will continue to connect with them to ensure that we establish our relationship. One of the things that I do is I am a coalition coordinator, so my whole world is about building relationships. So I'm pretty sure that we can get to a space where we can have strong relationships with all board members. And we need to place our students at the center. And I think that when we continue to talk about how important our students are, and we keep mentioning how important it is for us to work together for our students, it's going to be hard for people not to be on the same page, because we're all here for Oakland students.
I pride myself in being an effective communicator and negotiator. I know all the people on the school board. I believe that they are brilliant, intelligent, and well-grounded into issues in our community. What I bring is ability to bring everybody together. I am a person of science. I look at data, I look at the facts. People will have their own opinions, their own perspectives, but nobody can have their own facts. Nobody can have just their own data. It has to be a shared data, it has to be verifiable. And so relying on a scientific approach, relying on a friendly attitude, I believe that I can make a difference on the school board and work just about with anybody. As for my acquaintances, I'm not partial to one philosophy or another. I know everybody, I believe in everybody, and I'm willing to work to give a little, take a lot, whatever needs to be done to get the work done to improve academic achievement in Oakland. I think in the past there's been too much emphasis on personal agendas and personal projects. I want to eliminate all that and put student achievement at the forefront and at the top. Thank you.
Question 2. What role do you think community-based organizations can and should play in partnership with the district?
I think community-based organizations are the key to the success in the Oakland Unified School District. I have found that wherever I work, whatever school site I'm at, when there is community involvement, that school operates and runs better for children. So I'm totally willing to support, invest in community partnerships.
You know, I think that for many citizens, including myself, because one of the reasons why I ran is because I'm a concerned citizen. And one of the things that I've noticed is that OUSC thinks that they can do everything on their own. And we need to move away from that. One of the things that I said was that I am a coalition coordinator, and my role is going to be connecting with all the organizations. We don't have to recreate the wheel. We can go ahead and use what resources and best practices some of our community organizations already have to bring to our district. So for me, they play a major role. It really generally takes a village. It's going to take everyone in our community, and we need to value their expertise and bring them to our schools. So I know multiple organizations in the Bay Area because I do this work. So I have connections with people who are interrupting the school to prison pipeline, which is important. We need people who are going to talk about safety, and we need obviously focus on academic achievement, but we can only do that if we can also rely on our community to help us find best practices. So I'm super excited to work with different organizations.
Question 3. School choice was meant to be a stopgap measure to help parents secure seats at higher performing schools. What are your thoughts about the unintended consequences of there being relatively less demand at schools in disinvested neighborhoods?
One of the things that I am hearing a lot from the community is this challenge around trust that our schools will be there, because there's this constant threat of closures. So thinking about our communities and the distrust that currently exists within OUSD, it's important for us to start building that trust and making sure that we let our families know that we're going to fight for their schools, not just to remain open, but to be fully resourced. We need more teachers in our schools. We need more resources, services. We need family engagement. I was just reading that it's like $4,000 invested in one of our schools in family engagement, but we know that we have a lot of immigrant families who are coming in, who need interpretation, who need translation. So we need to increase our family engagement so that our families can feel like their school is not just for academic achievement, but it's also a hub for them that would allow them to thrive. For me, as a family engagement specialist, one of the things that I'm really excited to do is to create multi-generational growth, where we're seeing our students growing academically, physically, emotionally, but we're also seeing our families grow. We want our schools to be welcoming. We want them to be fully resourced. This is one of the very few systems that we have that are still free, that are still available to our community, and we need to continue to invest in it.
Schools that are, many times the schools that are underachieving or underperforming are the schools that are also underattended. What I would like to do is get to the root cause of why in District 5, some of the best schools like Glenview and Enda Brewer are operating at 65-75% of student success. And yet we have a handful of schools in the lower international East 14 corridor that are at 2%. There's a reason that parents are moving their children out of low-performing schools. And that's what I want to get to the bottom of. I believe that the answer is going to be with the school board. The school sites have wonderful, brilliant, dedicated teachers, principals, and personnel. They're following the orders of the Oakland Unified School District. And so the board is responsible for policy and decision-making. I want to take that back to the school board and examine the true reason for school site failure. It's not students. It's the type of program, the approaches, and the failure to have a more dynamic learning experience at those school sites.
Question 4. Did you support the Reparations for Black Students policy? Why or why not? What steps do the school board and district need to take to secure and administer funding equitably to ensure meaningful repair in our education system?
I do support the Black reparation resolution, but before that, I want to give thanks to the community effort, the organizing that went on to bring that to the school board. This was not just something that came about because of the goodness of the school board. It took years and years of people working in the background to bring this issue to the school board. Yes, there was finally consensus and people were able to pass a resolution. But I want to thank the various programs that existed in the community that brought this to the attention of the school board. And I believe that my concern now is how do we operationalize this program? I've seen too many well-intended programs not achieve their goal because they get sidetracked by the politics of the district. So the key thing to me is those community-based organizations, the continued involvement with the Black community, with the Black scholars in our community, to make sure that this program is operational at all levels.
I'm Afro-Indigenous myself. I grew up in the South part of Mexico, and I moved to the United States when I was 12. And I started to see that there's communities like ours that are Black and brown that don't have the resources and the services available to be able to thrive. And so for me, one of the things that I was really passionate about the reparations for Black students was because we know that we have significantly lost Black students in Oakland. We went from 50% to 20%. That is alarming. Some of those students, we don't know where they are. We didn't follow up. So losing our students is one of the things that pushed me to be part of the reparations, the lack of investment in our Black communities, because I worked in areas in Deep East Oakland for the most part as an organizer in schools like Reach Academy and Madison Park Academy that had a significant amount of Black students, and seeing the lack of investment is something that pushed me to do this work and be so passionate about it. But also because of my background as a senior parent organizer through Bay Area Plan, I used to have conversations around anti-Blackness within the Latinx community, the Yemeni community, and even within the Black community, what does internalized racism looks like. So having those conversations to shift also the culture and the way that we see ourselves and we see each other, and we can build strong solidarity. For me, it was very personal because as a senior parent organizer, I was organizing my organizers to also have those conversations with their parents. So overall, for me, it was, again, more than just what the resolution was, but shifting the narrative and the dynamic and and building strong solidarity. So building solidarity among the different groups, for me as an organizer, that was one of the best parts of my work, was seeing people speaking in Arabic or speaking Spanish and on behalf of the reparations. That is like one of the badges that I wear, because I think that having those conversations are important, especially in places like Oakland. Let's not forget that just because you are Latinx doesn't mean that you're not Black. That there's a lot of intersectionalities too. That some of the reparations will support our Afro-Indigenous and Afro-Latino students.
Question 5. In the wake of the shootings at Skyline High School and bomb threats at Chabot Elementary, there have been calls to revisit the proposals outlined in the George Floyd resolution. Do you support the resolution? And how would you implement school climate and safety protocols offered in the resolution?
So this one is probably one of my priorities, safety. I don't think the child can really focus on learning, or a teacher can focus on teaching if they don't feel safe in their school. So this one is going to be one of my priorities. And one of the things that I'm already thinking about in terms of the resolution and what can be done as a board member, I'm thinking about the safety plans and making sure that we disseminate that information to our families. Again, I'm a SSC member myself, a school site council member at International Community School in District 5. And we've had these conversations too within our own community. How do we disseminate the emergency plans to our families? So in case of an emergency, the last thing we need is OUSD families not knowing how to get in contact with their children, what to expect during a case of an emergency. So for me, that family engagement piece is going to be very important for our community to feel safe to be able to go to work or do their morning routines, and knowing that their children are going to be safe at school. So really focusing on the emergency plans to be solid. One of the things that is also very relevant for the George Floyd resolution is that I recently spoke with teachers at different schools in OUS in District 5, because I'm visiting all the schools in District 5 to have this conversation around safety. And one thing that has been very clear is that there's not a lot of cultural competency in the trainings that are provided to our staff. And that means that we create more trauma and more harm as a result of wanting to stop the harm. And so one of the things that I would be happy to do is to create more spaces for our families for our administrators, for our teachers to be part of what those trainings entail. Because right now they're not necessarily favorable to our community to generally feel like they will be safe. And I talked to ACC, the All School Council, with our students, and one of their priorities is mental health, restorative justice. That is what I'm going to be fighting for. No more police. We don't want to replicate the school prisons in our schools, because we know that mentally prepares you for the school to prison pipeline, and we need to stop that as soon as possible. So I'm not in the business of recreating a prison in our schools, but investing in resources like restorative justice, culture keepers, and partnering with multiple organizations in the Bay that are doing incredible work to stop this from happening. So that's some of the things that I can speak to as far as safety and my support for the George Floyd resolution.
I absolutely believe in that resolution, the George Floyd resolution. I believe that it was well-grounded, well-intended. The issue, again, is how do we operationalize the community and the schools developing a culture of security and wellness. It was an important step to eliminate armed police officers at the school site. But it's an equally important step to bring in the community-based organizations, the parents, and the various social groups in every community. This is not, strictly speaking, a school problem. This is a community problem, an Oakland problem, and we need to work together. So yes, as far as the resolution, in my heart and my mind, I'm all for it, but we need to step in now and have it become a reality. It's not that there isn't some groundwork being done, but that groundwork cannot be based on just a school side plan statement of we will improve the school environment. There needs to be active daily development and implementation of that plan at every level of the curriculum. In other words, it must be part of the conversation in every topic, in every day, in every hour in the classroom. And so when I say we, that means we, the parents, we, Oakland, we, the community-based organizations, must come together and resolve this issue together.